Melody Pond's third incarnation, best known as Professor Riversong, was a child of the TARDIS and the wife of the Doctor, specifically of their 11th and 12th incarnations, though she also had encounters with their 10th and 13th incarnations, as well as earlier incarnations whose memories were later redacted. She was mostly human with some Time Lord DNA, was conceived by her parents, Amy Pond and Rory Williams, aboard the TARDIS as it traveled through the time vortex. She was then raised and conditioned by the Silence, who used her unique DNA to transform her into the first of several proto-Time Lords, granting her great strength, a deep understanding of the complex principles of time and space, and the ability to regenerate. She loved the Doctor dearly and shared a long-lasting relationship with them. River was one of the very few people who knew the Doctor's true name. So that's the really kick off of this tonight's live stream. Welcome, friends and companions. Sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food, drinks, music, and sport. We are called Random because we will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in a live stream panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord, YouTube, and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel, Tech Doctor Who. You can't miss it. So the current series is The Companions of the Doctor, and tonight's live stream is The Companions of the 11th Doctor, Amy Pond, Rory Williams, and River Song. So it's a very illustrious trio, because there are some real time-wimey stuff about these companions. But we will dive into it. Okay. We will dive into it, and we will start with Amy Pond. So, what about Amy Pond? So, Amy was adventurous and reckless, with a dry wit and a stubborn streak. She had a difficult childhood, being an orphan raised by her aunt, her parents having been wiped from existence by the time field in her childhood bedroom. She felt abandoned by the Doctor, and she was rarely open with her feelings and often mistrustful and wary, but held people she cared for at arm's length, as she did in her early relationship with Rory and the Doctor when he returned. Amy had jokes made about her Scottish heritage by mostly the Doctor and Rory, or even herself. As a child, Amelia was stoic and able to care for herself. She prayed to Santa Claus for help with a crack in her wall and was unsurprised to meet the Doctor. She lusted for the adventure of travel with him. When he did not return, she grew into a cynical and aggressive young woman. During her earlier adventures with the Doctor, Amy showed she could be very clever and observant. When they encountered the lost of the star whales being tortured by and carrying 29th century humans from England, she saw how similar the star whale was to the Doctor, and that they were both the last of their kind, and couldn't bear to see its children cry, realizing that stopping its torture wouldn't kill the humans and spare the Doctor an incredibly painful task in making the star whale a vegetable to prevent it feeling further pain. She also prevented the Obvilium Continuum inside Edwin Bracewell from going off and destroying the Earth, while the Doctor was successful in doing so by having him feel the pain of traumatic events, such as the loss of his parents. Amy got him talking about a girl he was once in love with, successfully disarming it. When in peril, when a recording of Weeping Angel was climbing out of a television, she was told that anything that holds an image of an angel becomes itself an angel. She realized that she could kill the angel by pausing the recording on a blip, breaking the image. Amy was often flippant in the face of danger, with the exception of her traumatic experience in the forest aboard the Byzantium. She traded barbs with Rosanna Calvary when facing a forcible blood replacement, cracked jokes while confronting apparent doom on the TARDIS, and mocked the Cybermen without a body. Amy was also very flirtatious. In Leavenworth, she worked as a kissogram. She was attracted to the Doctor, Vincent van Gogh, and the Roman soldiers at Stonehenge. She once tried to seduce the Doctor and a computer. Rory claimed she only passed her driving test on her first to go because of her revealing skirt. Amy also once flirted with herself when the TARDIS materialized inside itself, and this meant she got to see two versions of herself from the future and flirted with both. She had no problem now ever, but despite being flirtatious to herself, she proclaimed that I will not have flirting companions, and was especially bemused when the Doctor and River started flirting just before rescuing her from the silence. Amy was troubled and lonely. She was often left alone by her Aunt Sharon, who refused to deal with her fear of the crack in her wall. After meeting the Doctor, she was obsessed with her raggedy Doctor and refused to believe he was imaginary, biting psychiatrists when they tried to convince her otherwise. Mels, a school troublemaker, her close friend and daughter, once pointed out she often misbehaved in school. Despite this, she was a protective, maternal figure for Mels, leading her, by regenerating into River's song after being revealed as Melody Pond, to remark, "You got to raise me after all." Although she seemed dismissive of Rory early on, Amy eventually began to respect him. Amy grew to love her husband, Rory, passionately, and called the Doctor her best friend. She felt he could fix anything. Despite her tough exterior, Amy could not always hide her emotions, was devastated when faced with the loss of loved ones such as Rory, Melody, and the Doctor, and Vincent van Gogh. She broke down in tears when the Doctor left her on Earth with Rory. Once she discovered that something had been done to her at Demon's Run, which made her sterile and unable to give birth to any more children, Amy tried forcing Rory out of her life to give him a better chance at having children with someone else. In her time on the TARDIS, Amy was heroic, saving the lives of the Doctor, Rory, River, and others. She was willing to remain in the clutches of the enemies to let her friend escape. She was also ready to fight to save others. Uh, like other uh, um, like other complex space-time events, she could remember alternate timelines to a degree. Additionally, Amy's mind, altered by her growing up with a crack in space and time in her bedroom wall, subconsciously held memories of beings and elements which had otherwise erased by the total event collapse. This allowed her to remember them back into existence in and immediately following the Big Bang too. Having learned that time could be rewritten, she was sometimes unreasonably optimistic about such things, hoping against hope there was a way to rewrite the events at Lake Silencio, even though they had been turned into a fixed point in time. So Amy showed herself to be arrogant and irresponsible. She refused to accept the Doctor's warnings about the Daleks, only to help forge the new Dalek paradigm. She broke a glass bottle and freed the entity, but blamed the Doctor for the mess until he revealed it was her fault. She believed she can change Vincent's life, only to see she failed to. She initially acted with prejudice to the Ganger Doctor, viewing him as a monster rather than a valid continuation of her best friend, until she saw how wrong she was about him and how she was the monster. So Amy showed a ruthless streak. She threatened River Song, who she held responsible for her daughter's disappearance, only to learn that they were one and the same. In an alternate timeline, Madame Cavorian was being killed by her iDrive and was able to get it most of the way off. She asked Amy to help her because it was what the doctor would do. Amy said he's not here, but Covaria's eye drive back on, killing her for having stolen her baby from her. She was conflicted about this later. Hello, Queen Charlotte. How are you doing? Hello, hello. So, Amy's worst fear was being the girl who waited, which stemmed from her childhood of waiting for the doctor to take her with him in the TARDIS. This fear continued into her adulthood when she became worried about a day when the doctor might disappear from her life forever, and she would continue to spend her life waiting for a return that would never come. So during her adventure about the Silurian arc, Amy told the doctor that she had quite a recent job. She admitted that she could not settle down because she was always listening for the TARDIS to materialize nearby to take her and Rory away. Amy described herself to Eldridge Valdemar as a science fiction fan. She cited Jules Verne as an example of a science fiction author whose work she had read. And Amy also shared the 11 Doctor's fondness for fish custard. So, that's in brief our personality. There are other some skills what Amy is. The skills of Amy is that she was skilled to using a sword. You can see that in the Curse of the Black Spot. A very nice story with pirates in it, as well as firearms. She could also pick a lock with only a hairpin. Amy could tell what others were thinking the more she knew them. And when the doctor was making silent movements, she could tell what he was thinking. Amy was able to easily find information in a complex computer system on the Solarian Ark, which aided the doctor in finding out where the ship came from and was going to. It was on the dinosaurs on the spaceship. So, in addition to taking jobs based around her physical appearance, first set of kissogram and later as a model, Amy was highly intelligent, able to solve intricate mysteries using observant analysis, and even on one occasion to single-handedly build her own sonic screwdriver. You see that in, for example, in The Beast Below and The Girl Who Waited. So growing up with a crack in time, but it's was very a red line, red thread in the whole series of Amy Pond. So growing up with a crack in time in her bedroom, Wall gave Amy a new ability to remember timelines that had been altered. So that's what I was saying in the beginning of this live stream. The three companions we will discuss tonight is they are very timey-wimey. There's are some things not chronological, and some things are you need to explain a lot about these companions. Because also River Song is also most complex person of the three companions. But we will discuss that later. So there are the cracks in time. There's a complexity in time, and there are also some memories. Not she cannot place good the memories she has. Um, oh, hello, this is the Ariel. Emilia Pond was great casting using someone related to Karen. Yes, that's right. There is, by the way, for the completeness, there is also another actress who plays who played Amy. Uh, yeah, Amy Pond, Black Whale, she's called. Queen Charlotte says, always felt that Moffat wanted his companions to be more complex than Russell's, more down to earth ones. Yes, that's right. And it's a reason why I put these three companions in this live stream because I think these companions are the most complex companions of all. Because of that, there are things not so chronologically or logically, or are different timelines, and They start in a specific timeline and they end in a whole other timeline. And there's all the thing about Amy and Rory, for example. Amy is born in 1989 and died in before that date, I think it was, because that needs explanation for that for another time. Um, that's what we'll discuss later. So I think you're right that you say um, that I think it's also that Moffat wanted his campaigns to be more complex than Russell's. He wanted to distinguish himself, I think, and wanted to prove himself, or try another things with the show. So that's the right reason why I was a little bit timey-wimey with his companions. So thank you for that comment. Um, yes, this as this I was about with cracking time. This meant that this meant that Amy Pond could remember those erased by the crack, including those tied to her own history, which other time travelers could not. So this allowed her to remember the Doctor when he sacrificed herself to reboot the universe. In the Big Bang, we can see that. She could also restore those erased simply by remembering them, as she did with the Doctor. And also, when Rivers altered the events at Lake Silencio, creating a new timeline, Amy retained her memory of the true timeline, while Rory lost his until the timeline was restored in the wedding of River Song. So that's a little bit. That's a lot of timey-wimey stuff in this whole thing. Actually, um, it's like a full circle. Um, you see that actually the Doctor restores Amy. Amy restores the Doctor, and that's vice versa. So in the end, everything restores itself, and that's very, I think. Look, Disaster Area says, "Do you think any of David's companions would have worked with Matt?" A good question. Um, I did live streams. So the companions of the 10th Doctor, Rose, um, Donna, Rose and Donna. Let me think. Um, I think that I think more. I think that for example, Donna Noble with Matt would be very interesting. Um, Rose, I think Rose not, but I think Donna Noble would be very interesting. But that's more the thing. I mean, I think I'm curious about the combination Matt Smith and yeah, the Matt Smith Doctor and the Donna Noble's Doctor. So it would work, but I think Donna Noble would work with every incarnation actually. So and Martha could have worked well with Matt. Yes, I think also Martha Jones. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay, now a little bit about the personality of Rory. Oh, there's another comment. Disaster Area says Donna would have worked, but then River would not have worked with them. No, I yeah. Actually, these are good questions or hypotheses. It's always we don't we don't really know. We can also speculate about some combination with Doctor and companions. It would be an interesting one, but I personally think River and Donna would be too much, or um, yeah, it's a bit because it are there are two strong characters, Donna Noble and River Song. Um, I was watching today. I was watching again the Christmas special, The Husbands of River Song, and then you can see how strong River Song is. Yeah. So and I see the Donna Noble characters also have very strong characters. So yeah, and actually on one hand it could work, but yeah, the combination. Yeah, you can speculate about that, but it is interesting combination. Uh, Queen Charlotte says, "I think her more educated and trained background with his older soul incarnation. I think her more, but is that but specify that? I think her more educated and trained background with his older soul incarnation. Oh, can you explain that? Um, hmm. Have a okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year, everyone in the chat. Her being a student with Matt being also like a mentor. Yep. So again, a short, brief thing about Rory Williams, his personality. So Rory was humble, loyal, protective, and a bit sarcastic at times. He was timid in his first meeting with the Doctor. He was easily cowed by Dr. Ramsden and terrified by the gale surrounding the Doctor and Prisoner Zero. As in the first story, when we meet all the actors from Matt Smith. And yeah, so he still had the presence of mind to record evidence his comatose patients were strolling around outside the hospital. He also helped Amy clear the hospital of patients before Prisoner Zero could kill them. You can see that in the first story, 11th Hour, when we're introduced with his character. So more about his personality. Rory also showed a significant compassion and empathy. This sometimes put him in danger, as when he sympathized with Jennifer Lucas when his first instinct was to help the broken, insane Daleks of the asylum. You can see that in the Rebel Flesh and Almost People, the two-part story. And also you see that in Asylum of the Daleks. He was often found caring for others, sometimes as a nurse and sometimes just as the TARDIS crew member who stopped to help newcomers acclimatize. He had in Impossible Astronaut, for example, dinosaurs in a spaceship. So we see also in this series, just because of how many times that he nearly died, or die, or did die actually, and come back in some way. Rory was overconfident about coming back from death. So, and that's an interesting fact about Rory. He died, and he died, and he was alive again. He was died and was alive again. And so, and in the end, he was overconfident about coming back from the death. We see it in explicitly in the last story with Amy and Rory in Angels Take Manhattan. So Rory, however, was still somewhat bitter about his numerous deaths. At one point, calling into lawyers against the Time Lords to seek compensation. So in Venice, Rory was unnerved when the Doctor and Amy wanted to return to the Saturnine stronghold. Yet he grew in bravery. He challenged Francesco to protect Amy, and when he saw Francesco had attacked a girl, his immediate reaction was to see if she was all right. So he was really caring about Amy. We see that in the Vampires of Venice. Really nice story. He also took a little Silurian energy beam meant for the Doctor. So he proved it really his courage in sometimes. Um, Further, Rory was stubbornly devoted to Amy. Perhaps the greatest testament to this was his willingness to, as an autumn, to guard Amy in the Pandorica for almost 2,000 years. A really dedicated dedication to Amy. We see that in the story, the story of the Big Bang, and he used that to justify that he loved Amy more than she loved him. He would perform great feats of courage out of love for Amy, to go any length when angry. He destroyed all but one of the 12 Cyber Legion ships to find where Amy was held captive. And as an Auton punched the Doctor when he was grieving over shooting Amy. Although he remained, I guess, at the risk, he was forced to take his reflexive behavior was heroic. He was shown to be devoted to Amy his whole life, to the point that she thought him gay, as he never showed interest in other girls. Amy failed to pick up on the fact that he was because Rory was in love with her, and he was so horrified at the idea she thought him gay and not in love with her. Rory ran off as Amy finally understood the truth. You can see that in Let's Kill Hitler. So Queen Charlotte says Rory was a slow burn of becoming a hero, but when he got there, no one braver. Yeah. So at first, Rory was jealous of Amy's infatuation with the Doctor and uneasy at her obsession with him when she was little. And unlike her, was completely faithful, not even wanting a stripper at his stag party. However, after Dreamlord's challenge in Amy's Choice, Jory became more comfortable with the Doctor's presence in their lives. Tried to have civil conversation with him and helping in TARDIS maintenance. He put up with the occasionally troublesome natures of Amy and the Doctor. So you can see really a development in the series in Rory's character. He became really a companion of the Doctor. In first episode, only Amy is a companion, but you can see that Rory also became some companion. Um, yeah, this is Aria says I was not a fan of Rory at the start, but grew to like him. Yeah, because I think it was a smart move to develop his character, and I think that's the reason. In the beginning, when I saw Rory, I didn't know what to expect of him, but it was very good written that Rory became more and more important in the stories, and that's also the point that I liked Rory and Rory more and more. So I can understand your your view about that. So what I was saying was Rory was very loyal to the Doctor. Um, he actually trusted I trusted with his life, and he was devastated when it appeared the Doctor was dead. And when Idra's body died, not only were there his friends, he was a nurse and they were his patients. So he was a little bit caring because of he was a caring character, but also about his job. He was a nurse, so he was caring for people. Um, Careful. So more of things about Rory is that he was a quick learner, and when confronted with the necessity of riding motorcycle for the first time to follow River's song, he soon knew that it was one of those days and did so. You can see that in Let's Kill Hitler. He was one of the few people to not freak out on entering the TARDIS for the first time, remarking he had done some reading on the theory. You can see that in the Vampires of Venice. Very funny. Um, When he was put inside the selector, he concluded it was a miniaturization ray simply because they were smaller and it was a ray. So, and the one last thing about the personality of Rory was that Rory was a film buff, preferring older ones such as those of Laura and Hardy. In the 1930s, quick Quaster film starring Rick Krusty Krob. So, that's what a brief about his personality of Rory. About the some skills of Rory. So Rory was a trained nurse. He knew medical procedures and how to examine bodies. He carried nursing supplies in his pockets in case someone was injured. He eventually used his medical knowledge and keen bedside manner to become an inventor of medical technologies, including creating the acclaimed hospital beds called the William Wonder beds. As he had been a Roman centurion, he was accomplished at fighting with a sword. In 2 millennia guarding the Pandorica, Roy became a very skilled warrior. In the attack on Demon's Run, he survived a battle with the Headless Monks. He also used a gun in his battle, shooting down Headless Monks from a distance and then wielding his sword when they got close. Rory was also able to knock the Doctor, Hitler, the T-Selecta, to the ground with single blows to their jaws. He also demonstrated proficiency with a slingshot. So he was also a very skilled soldier in the end. That's a brief about Rory. We now go to the personality of River Song. So what I was already saying in the beginning, this is the most complex campaign of all, because there are some other other sort of timelines in her during her story. But we will need discuss her personality. Because there are so many things to say about in the stories we see on the screen of River Song. Oh, there is Sadeko. Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
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 Hi, yeah. So I'm late to this.
Okay. So,
So we've covered Amy and Rory, have we?
yeah, short about her personality, and I'm now discussing the personality of River Song.
Oh, she's a wild card, isn't she?
Yeah. By the way, a technical thing. Am I now echoing now, or is it good now?
Oh, uh, I'm echoing a bit. I can hear myself echo a bit. Have you got headphones on?
Yeah.
You got headphones on? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, it shouldn't be echoing your end, but it seems. Oh wait. I've seemed okay. I'm not. I can't hear myself echo now, so it seems. Yeah. So it seems to be okay now.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Right, okay. So River Song, we first met her in the library, didn't we? In David Tennant's era, and we kind of
Yeah, and that is actually
meet
that
her.
that that is also the her last story for her.
Yeah, well, it is and it isn't. If you know what I mean. Her last story is actually Night of the Doctor, because that's when she's still in the library and she's kind of talking to him through, because she ends that story inside the consciousness of the library, and Night of the Doctor. Sorry, no, Name of the Doctor. She's actually she's talking to him through. Well, she's talking to Clara through the library. You know what I mean? Anyway,
And
carry on.
I
You
was
got some notes
watching
on River
today.
Song.
Okay. Today I was watching the Christmas special, The Husbands of River Song, and that was actually their last time with the Doctor together. before she ran into the library story. So her timeline is different than that of the Doctor because he don't in the response of her songs he didn't recognize the Doctor in the beginning. But that story is placed before the silence in the library, I think. Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. That's right. It's Husbands of River Song takes place before Silence of the Library. Now, for River, I mean, Name of the Doctor takes
Yeah,
place after. In Name of the
yeah, that's
Doctor,
right.
it's River's consciousness from the library talking to Clara, like she's already passed away.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Oh, hello,
Okay,
hello, Charlotte. I felt like
Queen
Moffat
Charlotte
had a rough
says
time here, but
River felt like Moffat had a rough idea, but just kept adding bits per story as he went along.
yeah. Um, I think River was kind of because in the classic series, when the Doctor met the Master, in the third Doctor era, fourth Doctor era, it was always kind of sequential. Like, you know, every time the Doctor and Master met, they return. They all remembered their last encounter, and it was never a case of there was never a point where the Doctor met like an earlier version of the Master or a later version of the Master, and you know, like in every kind of Davison story, it was usually kind of cliche. They'd say, "Oh, so you escaped from you know Castrovalve, or you escaped from Zerifus, you escaped from Track," and it was always he was always referring to the last time they met. And it was the same with
Yeah,
Davros. He never met Davros out of sequence either. It was always, and I think Moffat kind of probably thought, well, hang on, the Doctor's a time traveler. Shouldn't he sometimes meet people out of sequence? Wouldn't it be interesting to have him meet someone out of sequence? And of course, River was the idea of, well, what if he had a relationship with someone out of sequence? So he meets River in the library, and at that point, he has no clue who she is, but she has this whole history with him, and she's heartbroken that she's meeting him, the man she loves, and he's not quite the man she loves yet. He doesn't recognize it. It's very heartbreaking for her because it's like that he has no connection with her, and she loves him well with all her heart, really.
yeah,
And it's over time, of course, we learn more about who River really is. It gets a bit convoluted, doesn't it?
um, yeah. Actually, the whole thing about Queen Charlotte was saying about River felt like Moffat had a rough idea, but kept adding bits of her story as he went along.
Yeah.
That was this bottom folk thing. I think the River song actually is never ending.
So what did you say? You cut out a bit at the end there, so
Oh.
you
No,
said River.
the whole thing about River Song is that actually you can put her in every story of a Doctor Who because what I read about it is that River Song actually worked with every Doctor.
Yeah, that's in the Big Finish audios. Like on TV, she kind of we you only really see it from the we see it with the 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, the 12th Doctor. She's mostly predominantly in the 11th Doctor era, and she is kind of she has one story with the 10th Doctor, one story with the 12th. Now, Big Finish around 2014, they got the license because usually Big Finish only got the license to do stuff with classic Doctor Who. Like, they could only really do stories with, these Fifth Doctor, Sixth Doctor, Seventh Doctor, Eighth Doctor, and characters from the classic series. And then they got the license to do new hit series stuff, so they can actually do a. I think they started with a box set. I think they started with a box set about classic Doctor meeting new series villains. So I think the Fifth Doctor encountered a Weeping Angel. One of the other Doctors encountered a Jadoon or something. They kind of, and the Sycorax, I think, were in there as well. They mixed things up, and they started to get this idea of the Diary of River Song, or what if River actually went a bit back and actually met past Doctors? What if she did? What if they did a story where she meets the Fifth Doctor, or the Seventh Doctor, or the Sixth Doctor? Which, you know, I mean, to me, it was a bit of an overreach. I felt like River worked maybe with 11 at first, and 10 and 11, and I think maybe I didn't really like the idea of her reaching back. I thought that's an overreach. Like, each Doctor's got their own mythology, and adding, River is kind of the 11th Doctor's mythology, and I thought, well, making her every Doctor's mythology, I wasn't so keen on that. But that's what Big Finish did. I've not listened to. I can't really comment on what those audios are like, what she's like in those audios, because I kind of I lost track of Big Finish, you see, around that time. It's very, very difficult to keep up with Big Finish, really, because they put out so much stuff.
Yeah. So disaster
But that
area
was the
says
idea, is that
disaster area
oh,
says she mentioned she has met all the doctors in the show, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's right. Um,
I know
because
that
in the Husbands of
in
River Song, there's also in the Husbands of River Song, she shows all the doctors in their photos. So she had already some knowledge about other previous Doctor incarnations.
well, yeah, I see. I always assumed that was just the current Doctor, the 10th or 11th Doctor told her about the Doctor she'd met before, and of course, she'd always been told that there's a strict limit on how many Doctors there can be, because most of the time she knew the 11th Doctor, and he believed that he was the last incarnation. He thought that basically once he reached because although although he's the 11th Doctor, like in terms of regeneration, is actually the 13th, because there was the War Doctor, which didn't get counted, and the Meta Crisis Doctor, when we talked about that last week, when the Doctor and Donna, um, they merged, and because the 10th Doctor nearly regenerated, and he kind of transferred the regeneration energy, but it still kind of counted as a regeneration apparently. So now it's kind of a case of, well, it's 13 now. He's actually technically the 13th Doctor, and that's the last Doctor.
Yeah.
And she spends, and that's why, of course, in the Husbands of River Song, she's able to. Yeah, the Doctor doesn't. She doesn't recognize the Doctor at all. She doesn't. She doesn't conceive of the fact that Peter Capaldi might be the 12th Doctor. I mean, technically the 14th Doctor, but we all know him as the 12th Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, Moffat, why did you mess up the numbers? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he does. But what it means, of course, is she doesn't. It's She thinks she knows everything about the Doctor, and she assumed that he died on Trenzalore, I suppose.
Hmm.
So she's surprised to find out that he survived Trenzalore after all, because of the Time Lords giving him a
Yeah.
new regeneration site.
Yeah.
We've not gone to the personality of River, have we yet?
Yeah. We discussed the personality now.
Well, you got some notes on her. Well, can you go into your notes on her?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So River Song, what I was noticed about is what was very strong will, and though brainwashed and raised to kill him, she decided the Doctor was worth it and saved his life, giving up all regeneration to do so. I can see that in Let's Kill Hitler. And she resisted the upgraded astronaut suit and refused to kill him, heedless of the consequences. And we can see it in the wedding of River Song. River was flirtatious and cheeky like her mother Amy. So this was really a bit of it because, for explanation, Amy and Rory are her parents, actually. Also a sort of child of the TARDIS. And like her father Rory, she was stubborn, responsible, and fiercely compassionate. So we see some character traits from Amy and Rory into her combined. What do you think?
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, she was raised by the silence. Like
Yeah.
Amy and Rory, of course, gave birth to her. But they kind of, they conceived her on, I believe, their wedding night, and then on their wedding night, they actually, they were in a journey in the TARDIS, and apparently because well, they bonked, shall we say, on the
Yeah.
TARDIS during, TARDIS flight. I think that affected the pregnancy. So they,
Yeah.
in a way, River, when she was kind of, was born, was basically she was imbued somehow with the powers of the vortex, and that lent to the ability, certain time lord abilities, the ability to regenerate, that kind of thing. Yes, 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 yes. We're going to go into all the spoilers. um, and because of that, now then the Silent abduct Amy at some point. I believe they must have abducted her when she was returned to Earth, because that's when we meet Amy again on Earth.
Yeah.
That's when the Doctor kind of picks her up, and gradually we get subtle clues that Amy has been replaced by Ganga, and that basically Amy, the real Amy, is being held captive on, where was it? What was the name of the station that she was held? Was it? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Stop. It was
Um,
Demon's Run. Was
I
it?
mentioned it. Shit. Demons Run. Oh no. Oh no. Um, nah.
The Goodman goes to Raw. Basically, it's the space station. Where they're keeping Amy captive. Her and the silence is this basically this whole religious
Yeah.
order, um, and they are committed to destroying the Doctor. And in order to do that, they're basically they're going to carry Amy's pregnancy to its term and abduct the baby River. Well, I mean, Amy's named her Melody, but it's a kind of linguistic corruption. Name turns from, like, she was going to be Melody Pond, and from a linguistic corruption, it becomes River Song. Uh, and it goes wrong. Obviously, the Doctor tries to. He does. The Doctor kind of gathers an army and almost and does rescue Amy, but he doesn't quite rescue the baby. The baby gets taken by Madame Kavarian.
Yeah.
And so Kavarian obviously takes River, and that's when they begin raising River. Because the next time we see River after that, she's a young child, and they're already trying to imbue her, merge her with the astronaut suit, which is programmed to kill the Doctor. They've done a lot of brainwashing of her. They've trying to convinced her to. It's a strange kind of brainwashing they've done, but they've convinced her to almost fall in love with the Doctor, but at the same time associate love with murder. So it's the idea that that they've conditioned her to be a psychopath and to kill. And somehow she escapes the silence, and she gets taken like she was in New York City, where she first escapes, and she's this very kind of terrified child. And then when we meet her again in Let's Kill Hitler, she finds a way to Amy and Rory somehow. She actually ends up in their school, and like she becomes just one of their peers. Who's kind of who's somehow like their kind of unseen best friend basically.
Yeah.
And the closer she gets to Amy and Rory, of course, the closer she gets to the Doctor, because Amy met the Doctor in childhood, and she always kind of has this hope that she'll see the Doctor again. And as it happens, she does. Now, by this point, of course, River, or Mel's as she's called, has gone completely off the rails. She's just this incorrigible criminal, incorrigible kind of troublemaker.
Yeah.
and basically she hijacks when the Doctor arrives. She basically holds him at gunpoint, and she decides on a whim she's going to go back in time and try and kill, well, the lead of the German bad people in World War II.
Yeah.
And now during this, of course, I mean, obviously nothing comes of that. But she does get shot in the attempt of shooting Hitler. She gets shot, and that's when she regenerates, and she regenerates into the appearance of River as we know, and that's when the penny kind of drops that
Yeah.
Mel's is River. Like,
Yeah. Actually, she's the
and
third incarnation. Yeah.
yeah, she only makes it to a third incarnation, and she because this ends up being her last incarnation because she gives away her regeneration energy. But at first, she's just I think best described as she is just psychotic in that she's just very snarky, psychotic, very arrogant, very blinkered. Like she's kind of one track minded. I'm going to kill the Doctor, and but I'm also but she's also very hedonistic. Like she's doing a lot of ridiculous. She's just she's fun loving about it at the same time. It's a bit kind of they put Hitler in the cupboard so he becomes a non-issue for the rest of the story somehow.
Yeah. um. So, other things about her is that she teased him using the word spoilers. Whenever the subject turns to the Doctor's future, that was a little bit of a catchphrase for her. And so this began when the Doctor assigned her to the document their adventures in the TARDIS diary. So she had her own TARDIS diary also. But we actually know in the end we know that River has another timeline than the Doctor. So that's not chronological with the incarnations of the Doctor. That is all also what I already said in the beginning of the live stream is that these campaigns are the most complex campaigns because of the fact that Amy, Rory, and River also all have some not chronological things in their tenure. Because we already know that Amy was born in 1989 and died before her birthday, actually, because of that she after the Manhattan story, she had her life in before the war, actually. So, and also the case with the River is that she travels not chronological with the Doctor. Other timelines are involved in this whole story, so complex.
Yeah, I think the spoilers thing. It's a running catchphrase, and it's her kind of feeling a bit smug that she's a bit ahead of the Doctor. That she's like she knows stuff he doesn't. Usually, the Doctor's the expert on everything, and because she is slightly ahead of him in terms of future events, she can kind of
Yeah.
tease that she
Except for the 12th
knows.
Doctor. Yeah, except for the 12th Doctor.
Yeah, that was the exception. That was
Actually,
when
yeah,
he was ahead of her, like he'd been to the library and that, and
yeah.
and he knew what was obviously going to happen on um, during the library. But it's also kind of she has to kind of keep quiet about what's ahead because he's not supposed to have future knowledge of stuff, because he's a
Mhm.
Time Lord. And
So that whole spoiler thing is she adopted the word from the Doctor actually. But he, however, used the word with Donna before he met River. Um, Establishing that not only he did not learn from her, but he foreshadowed her saying it to him when he met her in the silence of the library. Actually, the last story of but the 10th Doctor doesn't recognize her in silence of the library. And she kept her diary from him and hid that his death at the La Silencia was a hoax from everyone except her parents, waiting until the time was right to confide the real fate of the Doctor without altering the course of a fixed point in time. And so River visit Amy and Rory after they found out that she was their daughter. And as she neared Beryllium, their adventures were coming to an end. River questioned the Doctor openly on her future, stating that she knew he was the kind of man who would give her a diary with the right amount of pages for her use, thus knowing when it was nearly full, their adventures were at an end. So that was the story that I watched today about the husbands of River Song. So that's the whole story about that thing about TARDIS Diary. Disaster area
Oh
says,
yeah,
is Amy dead? Or says, is Amy dead?
well,
Or
both
just dead
technically.
back
The,
in time?
what the angels do is they steal your life force, your kind of the life you were supposed, the energy of the life you were supposed to have, and they end up stealing. So basically, the idea is that they send you back in time, and obviously you die of natural causes, but they also, in fact, the fact that your life is taken, and obviously if you're sent back to the past, you're probably going to die before you were taken. That's how they get their energy. So Amy, she is sent back. She's sent back to Rory, and she because Rory gets taken out of time back, and then they live together, I believe, in New York, and they have a life together. They die together, but like it becomes fixed time. The Doctor's not able to go back and see her again.
Yeah.
Um, but they are dead. They're dead of natural causes by Oh, yeah, because they go back way back in time. They actually, yeah. So yeah, it's both. She gets transported back in time and dies. Um, and Amy chooses to go. It's one of those things where when she realizes that Rory's been sent back in time, she's like, "Well, Rory is my everything, and I'm going to go to be with him." Um, it's how she goes. She leaves on her own terms. Like she knows the angel's going to send her back, and she's like, well, "I'm going to go," and the Doctor can't stop her. He can't talk her out of it. He's devastated, of course. He's desperate for her to stay, but she leaves.
So, as soon as Amy and Rory knew they were her parents, she happily stopped calling them by their first names. She called them mother and dad. And she only used their given names when referring to them with a third person, such as the doctor. And she also learned a lot from her parents. For example, when she was younger, she would back off from the doctor's verbal onslaughts until Amy's support and push back, thought her not to not back down. You can see that in the Winning River song, for example. Hey, hello. There's a new one. Hello. Sid says, I do wonder if the pawns have adventures after they get touched by the angel, though. Uh, we don't know, actually. We don't know, actually, if the pawns have adventures after they got touched by the angel, though. He can make adventures after when it.
Well, there was a storyboard version of like an epilogue written by Chris Chibnall called PS, in which Rory gets a letter to Brian, his dad, and he basically tells him the story of the life they lived in New York, and that although because Amy, after her experience with the silence, after she was abducted, it was kind of quite horrible. She suffered she was subject to a hysterectomy, so she's unable to conceive babies anymore. Like they wanted her to
Yeah.
create this one Time Lord super weapon, and basically the operation caused her to lose the ability to have children, and that led to a rift between her and Rory. She was devastated over it. She was devastated, but in a very, very Amy way, she kind of put on this front of being, um, kind of, yeah. She just kind of pushed Rory away. She got on with her modeling career. She kind of just disappeared into that modeling world, but she was devastated. and it led to her kind of breaking up with Rory. And she said it was, look, privately, it was the worst thing I've ever done. It's worse than anything, you know. She actually says to him, because he actually kind of tries to pull that thing on her. Look, I waited 100,000 years for you, and she said, that is nothing compared to giving you up. She was saying, look, it was far more heartbreaking for me to lose you. And then of course they reconcile, and the thing is, they do, because they both wanted kids, I think. I mean, Rory certainly seemed to want kids more than Amy. That's the impression you get from their argument in, because I think Amy's kind of she's still quite flighty. She's still quite, she's still kind of a bit, she's still kind of hung up on a lot of childhood issues. I get the sense maybe Rory was more the one who wanted to be the adult and say, well, it's time to have kids of our own. Let's, be the grown-ups. But he obviously they both wanted to have kids, and they in this kind of letter, it reveals that they did actually adopt a child, and they raised him, and basically the letter basically introduces Brian to their adopted son and says, look, he's part of the family. And it's probably the best thing Chibnall's written, actually, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the thing, that they had this life. They had a adopted son. They didn't. Doesn't really say anything about them having adventures. They just had a normal life, I suppose, and they kind of, and Rory says we were happy in the end. We were happy, even though it was obviously a devastating way for them to leave the Doctor. They discovered a happy life. That they had resigned themselves to the life the angels had given them, and they did have a happy life. Because they missed out on the chance to raise River, you see. Like, River was taken from them, but Melody, rather, was taken from them. And I think, because the very kind of last memory Amy had of Melody, the baby, was she was clutching the baby of adopting Anthony, yeah. There's their appearance in the Ruby's Curse, a River Song novel, but I think that's it. Oh, I've not read the Ruby's Curse. Apparently there's a Ruby's Curse is a novel, I think that is in. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, because I think River was traumatic for them. Like in A Good Man Goes to War, like she's clutching what she thinks is the baby of River, and it turns out to be a gang, and basically the baby just kind of liquidizes in her arms. And I always saw that as she had bonded with what she thought was baby River, and it turned out not to be, and that kind of deeply upset the bonding between mother and daughter. And I've always seen that as the explanation for why I think sometimes it does come off in the show like they don't necessarily feel like mother and daughter. It doesn't, I don't, it's they don't, nothing was seen to be done with the fact that River and Amy were mother and daughter. It's like I didn't see kind of that mothering instinct come out in Amy when she saw River again. I think that kind of that, and I do put that, in my head, I put that down to the trauma, the whole, well, look, the bonding was upset by that, and it's kind of, so she's never quite been able to connect. It's a bit like having a kind of, say, meeting a an adopted daughter or something. You've not had that kind of, parenting experience with them. So I suppose that means it's not quite the same relationship you'd have with, a child you've known all your life, kind of thing. You'd raise all your adult life.
Could you hear me?
The thing about River is that in Let's Kill Hitler, obviously she is just in psychotic mode, and she's kind of very hormonal, very adolescent, very kind of wild. She runs wild. She's running on crazy impulse, and it's only toward the end that she starts to mature, I suppose, and she starts to, because she's still kind of confused about who she is, who she's destined to be. And toward the end, it's like she's put in with the doctor takes her to hospital, and that's the idea. This is what basically where they'll start to recondition. They'll start to kind of undo all the brainwashing she has suffered all her life. To brainwashing by the sons to kill the Doctor, to obsess over the Doctor and kill the Doctor. And obviously, the next time we meet her in Wedding River Song, she is in the astronaut suit, and she's trying to warn the Doctor, look, I can't stop this thing. And she's obviously devastated. She doesn't want to do the deed. She doesn't want to kill him anymore. And she refuses to. She actually refuses to fire the weapon, and that's what causes the paradox. And she's obviously she basically just wants to she's decided to rebel against what the Cylons wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she's still, I suppose, she's been programmed to be in love with the Doctor, and that's still there in her. And because of that, she can't bring herself to, she loves him now, and she understands what love means. It means protect and love and care, not kill. The Cylons have kind of confused that for her. So she's kind of becoming more her own river now, rather than just a tool of the Silence. It's kind of it's hinted that there's kind of maturity to her now, that she's got a stronger sense of self and a stronger sense of morality, I suppose.
Hey, can you still hear me? Hello?
I can, yeah. I'm just
Okay.
having a drink.
I'm gonna try another headphone.
Oh, all right, okay.
I can still hear echoing myself.
Oh, okay. Can you still hear it now?
And now? No, I don't hear echo.
All right, okay, cool.
Oh, no. Okay. More about her personality. So River seemed at ease with being kept in prison much of her life for a crime she didn't commit, and often flirted with the guards or made jokes about the facility. So a little, some of humor involved in her. Even once stating
Well,
this,
I think
no one out.
the thing is, she knows she can escape anytime she wants. It's almost like she's like in A Good Man Goes to War, when it's very kind of early on, when Rory has been sent to kind of recruit her to join the army. She's coming into the Stormcade. The alarms are going off. She's kind of dancing there, saying, goes on the phone, look, I'm not breaking out. I'm breaking back in. I've come back, and
Mhm.
down the alarms. I do this all the time. I break out. I break in. I'm breaking back in, and but this is of course when Rory tells her about that this is the Battle of Demon's Run, and she knows it. She says, look, I can't join you in this fight. I know what's destined to happen. This is going to be the Doctor's biggest win, and his biggest lose at once is going to be a catastrophic defeat, and I can't be there to change that. That's predestined. And
Yeah.
I think it's to a degree, it's something to do with the fact this is obviously the where River is conceived, so she can't go because she can't interfere with her own history. She has to let events play out. But yeah, that's the thing. She does the breaking in and out kind of thing. She on day release. But she has all the tools to escape. Usually, what she uses is kind of hallucinogenic lipstick. So she'll
Yeah.
she'll be able to kiss a
Later
guard and
stated.
start. She'll start to hallucinate. He'll start to hallucinate that, and so then she'll be able to just get past him. Like, and they'll find the guard kind of. I've got to. He's still putting a gun at a drawing she's done of herself on the on the on the
Yeah.
prison wall because he thinks that's the real her, and it's like, okay, he's been completely like she's completely got to him with that lipstick, and so that's how she escapes. Oh, yep. A prison is like a hotel.
Now, so she later stated that she had a significant history of escaping.
Yeah, she's an authority to herself, really. The basically yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
very much free spirit.
yeah, the River was a really flirtatious person, and also used the words "Hello, sweetie."
Hmm. Yeah. In fact, yeah,
So,
she'll even kind of go back and yeah, it's a calling card. Basically, she'll even go back in time and add "Hello, sweetie" to some hieroglyphics as a way of messaging the Doctor when he kind of looks at kind of ancient messaging
yeah.
and says, "Oh, that's a message from River. She must want me. This must be important." Mhm.
So also, River was very confident in her abilities, and she was very hard to intimidate, showing no fear when faced with the weeping angels, for example, in the science or the Pasnerada. And she was also very good
Or a
with
Dalek.
hiding her emotions. Yeah,
Don't forget the Dalek in was it, yeah, the Big Bang. Like she's confronted with the Dalek. She
yeah,
basically holds her at gunpoint and she basically makes it beg for mercy. Says, "Look up my records," and the Dalek kind of realizes who she is, and she kind of begs the Dalek to say mercy, and yeah, she'll outface the Dalek even. Anyway, carry on.
So she was also very good at hiding her emotions and didn't like to show weakness. It's also a character trait of her. And
I think
she
the older she
said,
got,
yeah,
I think the older she got, I think the older she got, the more the emotions came out with her, and I think because I think the older she got, the more she came to know the Doctor, the more he came to mean to her, and the more
yeah,
the silence conditioning kind of faded away, the brainwashing she had as a child, the more that faded away, the more the emotional core of it came out, and you kind of saw it a lot more. It kind of, yeah, she could get emotional, but she'd also kind of have a go at the Doctor for being too sentimental. So she had kind of had this idea that had this understanding. Yeah, I get emotional, but I've also got to I've got to be realistic. I can't get sentimental. That kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So she can be
Maybe.
hard-headed, but she's still got a heart in there, obviously. And yeah.
Mhm. But there's one thing about her parents when she was devastated when her parents were stolen by a weeping angel. But unlike Dr. Shaker was aiming to go be with Rory and didn't break down after the angel transported Amy away and show a far greater level of self-control than her husband. And watching the weeping angel so it could to not attack, but then while the doctor looked away in the angel's take Manhattan in this story with Amy and Rory.
Yeah, that's true. Now that is interesting because it's a question of like it's most of what River kind of decides is based on is it predestined? It's probably predestined that because she's got this kind of obviously her life is kind of defined by this book of what's ahead, what's behind. What's behind for her is ahead for the Doctor, and so she decides that she has to basically she. Well, what I mean is that she most of the time she'll say, "Well, look, this has to happen. It's predestined." Demons run. The battle demons run that the Doctor loses. That's predestined. I can't go. I can't change that. This is kind of an odd one where it's not necessarily predestined. The angels are basically taking away Amy and Rory's life. And, they're distorting time. They're kind of messing with time to feed off life. The life energy of Amy and Rory. So she could say to the Doctor, "Well, time's not fixed. You can change this." But her, it's here. It's her understanding of Amy. It's her love of Amy that says, "Look, let her go. She will be happier with Rory." It's not about this is predestined. It's not predestined, but she still says, "Look, this is something Amy has to do for her. And then her and Rory were happiest together, and that's where they belong together. If you know what I mean.
Sister Arya says, what was the episode when she said she met Stevie Wonder? Was it not one of the mini episodes?
I think so. I forget which one.
Oh, I have a question for the people in the chat.
She's always she is
I have
like
a
the
question
Doctor.
for.
She's very much a name dropper.
Mhm. I have a question for the people in the chat who listen to the live stream. Do you hear some echo? Because all the time I hear myself echoing.
Do you hear yourself echoing now? Could speak maybe if you hear yourself echo now. Can
I hear all the time. I heard so all the time. I heard my echo in the microphone or in my headphone.
Okay.
But you, yes. Oh, so I don't know
Right.
how to solve this problem.
Oh dear.
It's only when you speak.
Right. Okay. Do you hear it now?
I've tried 3 things now with different earbuds, but still I hear some echo in my voice.
Oh. I'm not sure anything. I don't want to count my end. I don't seem to be able to. I'll try coming out and coming back in. Maybe that'll help.
Okay, great. And do we now some echo? I don't hear echo now anymore. People in the chat, can you hear me now better? How echo or? Do you still hear my echo, or is it good now? I don't hear echo now at the moment. Yeah, so I don't know what is the case, but because now I don't hear echo anymore. So when I add Sadek to stage now,
Okay.
do we now see a echo?
Do you hear
Can you
echo
hear
now?
echo? I don't
Right.
hear echo
Can you
now.
hear? Okay. Right. Yeah. I think maybe coming in and out helped. I think it's probably cleared the issue up for a time. Like I think it's kind of. I probably need to get a new headset, to be
Okay,
honest. I think I've realised that now.
okay. People in the chat, can you hear some echo now? Yeah? Is there now echo, Queen? Or is it good now?
Blame
Test,
me.
test, test, test.
Lovely.
No echo.
No echo.
Okay,
Okay. No echo. Okay. Good.
perfect. So the problem is solved now. Okay, now? Perfect. Where were we? What was the episode when she said she met Stevie Wonder?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
No idea.
So I saw the most emotional river song I saw in the Christmas special, the Husbands of River song. Most emotion
Yeah.
because at the end of the episode you see is that they are there delirium. They are in a restaurant with each other, and then on one year
Yep.
this is 24 years in one sun year. So
Mhm.
then we see more weakness, more things, more emotional river song at the end. So you can
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the love for the doctor. You can see that already. Uh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
the.
so, so what?
Yeah, no, that's just the that is the she realizes she kind of gets an inkling this is the end of the road for her. This is her last time with the Doctor. It's the last time with the Doctor who knows her, kind of thing. And it's kind of this Doctor recognizes her and knows her history, and so he has that connection with her. She has that connection with him,
Mhm.
and this is their last time together. And significantly, he's kind of come to trust her to the point he gives her his sonic screwdriver, and it has a failsafe in it. It has kind of a connection to her data memory, so that that in the past he can basically, in the Doctor kind of pieces it together. Even the 10th Doctor pieces it together that he gave her that sonic screwdriver because it had, there was some, there was significance in that, and it was a way to save her at the last minute, save her consciousness at the last minute, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So there's some interesting thing about the River in the case of River was deeply in love with the Doctor, but even though she had been raised to kill him, they already mentioned that with also with them Covariant thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I think of it as that she was programmed to obsess. She was brainwashed to obsess over him
yeah,
because of that kind of, and that kind of, when she was kind of growing up, of course, and going through, from child to womanhood. Obviously, she kind of fell in love with the Doctor, but she was kind of, she ended up kind of confusing the two emotions of being in love and having a mission to kill.
yeah,
And that was done deliberately. The Sands deliberately tried to give her that confused impression of what love is. Um, so it's like, was she programmed to love the Doctor all along, or did that love kind of emerge over time? Did it kind of become real love over time? And I think it's because she always kept meeting the Doctor, and these were the kind of the advent. These were obviously the most exciting adventures, and she kind of came to know the soul of the Doctor. Um,
mhm,
I think it was love toward the end, and in the end, of course, in Silence of the Library, it's to the point where she is willing to sacrifice her life to prevent the Doctor sacrificing his life, because she has to connect to the mainframe of the library in order to, release all the data files of all the people that have been taken by the library computer, and so
yeah,
she has to. That's what she has to do. She has to sacrifice herself for that, and she's willing to do it because she knows if she doesn't do it, the Doctor will, and she's, to her, she can't bear that, and also she knows it's predestined. The Doctor has to live because I have this future with it. Oh, found out. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I understand is that she grew into a much more selfless person and showed willingness to
Yeah.
sacrifice herself. What you actually said, and
Yeah. Well, she
eventually giving
she
her life to
sacrificed
save
herself.
the tent. Yeah, yeah,
She sacrificed her life for a blend of love of the Doctor, but also predestination. She knew she was predestined to die, and so
mm,
she complies with predestination as well. She knows this is what she has to
yeah,
do, and it's like I think she's resigned to the fact this is the end of her travels. This is the end of her life, and she, as we see, of course, she lived life to the full, really.
yeah. Uh, what about Stevie Wonder?
Hmm. Yeah.
Stevie Wonder. I have a CD of Stevie Wonder here.
Hmm.
Okay. There's also one other occasion, and that is River learned a hard lesson when she first met Clara Oswald. By the way, we discuss Clara Oswald in combination with 12th Doctor next time.
Yes, indeed.
Surprised to meet the newest companion since her and her parents' deaths, she asked if the doctor had talked about her, but she was very hurt when Clara told her the doctor had done so in a manner that left her ignorant of Rivers being his wife, having only mentioned that he had known Professor Song. So, and the doctor never came to say goodbye to her or rescued her beloved diary from the library on that day. It was saved from the vast Nevada, and she became a guide and helped Clara when Doctor went to the field of Transalore, even going as far as revealing some secrets of how she came to be. And she saved Clara, the Doctor, and everyone else from the Whisperer Man by saying the Doctor's real name. And first muting her connection with Clara, so this secret couldn't be heard by anyone except the TARDIS. Can we see that in the special, The Name of the Doctor?
Oh yeah, the River and the Doctor became kind of eloped and got married in
Yeah.
Wedding River Song during the time paradox. They actually, the Doctor, for some reason, I never quite understood it. It was kind of almost a. I think he performed the ritual of a marriage so that she would get close enough to him that he could, because the closer they got in contact, the more likely it was that they could break the paradox, and that's what the Doctor needed to do. He needed to break the paradox so the time would go back on its proper course. And he let her in on the secret that he was actually controlling the Tesselector, and that that she was not going to kill him after all. And I take it the marriage is kind of it's the culmination of the obsession she was conditioned to have for the Doctor. So, well, look, once they're married, I think it's a case of she has achieved that goal of marriage, and that's when I think it's it's kind of that's the goal now. It's not to kill, it's to marry, and so that's when so basically that's how they got married, and ever since then, of course, she talks to the Doctor as a husband. One of many, it turns out.
So, Disaster Area says River has never met Captain Jack. But Queen Charlotte says those two would cause so much chaos together, Disaster. Yeah, I think so. The combination.
Oh yes.
And very interesting. Very interesting and explosive, I think.
Yeah.
But interesting.
Yeah.
So there's one thing that River had in common with the Doctor. That's that River shared the Doctor's habit of avoiding answering a question. You can see that by the Doctor that he sometimes avoids a question for a reason. Because the River shared that habit. So she answering a question by answering a previous question. And
Yeah,
like her mother, she
kept
was
things
able
very.
to follow the 11th Doctor's train of thought so well that she could explain it to others.
Yeah, she kind of kept things close to her chest, but she also she understood what was going on with the Doctor. She kind of knew him well, and she knew his habits basically.
Oh yeah, there's also some think about River in combination with other incarnations. Here, River had varying opinions of the Doctor's earlier selves. For example, she didn't like the first, second, and sixth Doctors, and she also got along with the third exceptionally well. And she remained somewhat neutral about the fourth, seventh, and eighth Doctors, just voicing her shock at some of the traits they had and their admiration of the latter starters. And she wrote on the fifth Doctor's short temper as well as a note to herself to avoid setting in the night to the ninth Doctor of about the Time War, suggesting arguments had ensued between her and these incarnations, and she otherwise only elaborated on their traits.
This must be the Big Finish audios again.
Yeah, also with the
Or,
with the game, the Eternity Clock. Do you know that?
uh, oh, no, the Eternity Cloth.
No.
Not played it. Yeah, I suppose it's a that must be it. It must be a game in which maybe there's multiplayers and each Doctor's different, and the River has kind of notes on each of them or something.
Yeah, that's right. So she has that's one of the things that River actually met all the previous doctors, including the War Doctor, except for the fugitive Doctor.
Right.
But um, while a younger River liked guns and was seen to carry them often, you can see that in the Pandora Opens, before the example, and Possible Astronaut, Dave the Moon. Roller cells elected this tendency. You see that in the Angels Take Manhattan, for example, of in Silence of the Library, actually. Uh, and River once made fun of the Doctor's use for using his sonic screwdriver in battle. But apparently revised her opinion on this as she later turned her own sonic trowel, also in the story of that I've seen today in on the Husbands
Sonic
of River Song.
Trowel.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
sonic trowel.
Yes.
Uh, Yeah, it was very fun to rewatch this Christmas special again, as Maria Song, because it explains a lot about and also about the River Song character, because it wraps it a little bit up. This
It shows that
special, this Christmas film. Yeah,
she can be a bit like she can be kind of tricksy, a bit of a like she can put on a lie, like she has this, she has these various marriages, and now her true love is of course the Doctor, but she's able to, she's quite manipulative. She knows how to play men, and sh- like she's married to this dictator in the Husband's River Song, and she obviously despises the guy. She just wants to get the diamond from his head or something, and but she's like,
yeah,
"Oh, of course I love you. You listen to your people; they adore you." And she's just being really sycophantic, and it's all very put on. And I think the Doctor's watching this, thinking, "Well, hang on, was she when she kind of gave me all these, she get, River talks in a very flowery way about the Doctor and about her love for the Doctor." And I think the Doctor's watching this, thinking, could she have made it all up when, when she said all that? Was she just making it all up, or did she mean it or not? Yeah, it's kind of him. It's a crisis of trust, really. And um, so yeah, so he sees the kind of the tricksy side of River, the side that can lie and be just, put on an air of being in love, but really she's got a goal, and she's very kind of cold and determined on it. But obviously, in the end, when they're on the ship and she gives that speech, I think that's when he realizes, no, she does love me. It wasn't put on with me. It was, when she, it does. He kind of understands what's from the heart with River and what's not. And do you think River was overused in the end? I do. What? Um, I do think. I do think the arc was a bit cumbersome and unnecessary. I think I did kind of. I mean, I liked her as part of the ensemble in. I mean, I liked her in Silence of the Library. I liked her as part of the ensemble in Time of Angels. Um, the Big Bang. Um, then in Let's Kill Hitler, that's when I think I did start to get a bit tired of her. I felt like she was becoming a bit overdone. Over the show was becoming too much about her, and I think by Wedding River Song, I was starting to think, oh, I'm kind of keen to not see River again at this point. I mean, to be honest, I think really Sanford Library and the Husbands of River Song is kind of the, you could have those two stories, and you didn't really need all the rest of it. You kind of, those two stories kind of would work in and of themselves. Sanford Library and of course Husbands is kind of, call back to that, and I think that would have worked. I don't know. I feel like that would have been enough. I don't think she necessarily needed the elaborate backstory, like about being an agent of the silence. That was a bit kind of, yeah, I think she was a bit overused in the end. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, obviously there's, there's a lot of kind of joy de vivre with it. I mean, I really did like her in Name of the Doctor. Kind of, I watched that episode, and at that point, I had felt a bit of river fatigue, but I was kind of like, you know what, I really like what's going on here with her, and the you know,
Yeah.
I think the dynamic she had with Clara, and the fact that she kind of couldn't quite reach the Doctor. I thought that was very poignant. I thought.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
Moffat tried to make her too many things at once, if you know what I mean. Like, he kind of made it the love of the Doctor's life, but he kind of, which is fine. That he kind of had that she's this assassin who's going to kill the Doctor as well, and also she's been brainwashed by the Sands. Also, she's Amy and Rory's daughter. I think stuff like that wasn't really. You didn't need all that with the cut. You can overcomplicate a character too much, perhaps. And I feel like that. I the thing about being Amy and Rory's daughter, that for me, it was a bit of a deal breaker. It kind of broke my connection with the show a bit, because I thought I there's only it was kind of a step too far. It was kind of a leap too far for me. It was like I didn't really believe that, and because I didn't believe that, it was hard to care quite the same way for me, anyway.
yeah.
Because
What
you
I
see
what this
in Let's Kill Hitler. Obviously, you find out that that Amy and Rory had been kind of friends with, apparently been friends with River all her childhood life, and they're kind of suddenly fine with they seem a bit at ease with the fact that she's like, you don't get the reaction you thought you would get of them seeing their lost daughter again. It kind of was played very flippantly, and because of that, it felt like they don't seem to care, and because of that, I didn't care. I kind of felt less of an ability to care as well. I kind of almost against my will, almost. I stopped caring as much, and it was very, very difficult after that to care quite the same way again for me. I've talked about the theory, the broken bond, but that's kind of me trying to explain to myself trying to kind of explain in fiction what was going on.
yeah.
But for me, I felt it was an overreach of Moffat. I think he took it a bit too far.
Yeah.
Like, same way I think
I
Russell
think
took a bit too far with the end of Last of the Time Lords, like that. Everyone kind of chanting the Doctor's name and restoring him to, giving him, restoring him to kind of, this godlike kind of superpower and all that. I thought that was, that was a step too far for me. That was kind of very, very hoary, and I think it was same thing with this. It's like it's an overreach. And I think when a writer overreaches, it's very difficult for the audience to go with it. And so, it kind of comes something of their connection, their investment is lost, I think, when that happens.
yeah. Sometimes it's yeah. I think
Well,
in the case of Stephen Moffat, um, that it was a very very creative writer. That's first of all, but I think during his time as showrunner, you can see more and more complex things, and I think he was a little bit himself. He was a little bit searching for a way to um,
I do get this.
solve
I
things.
vaguely get the
I,
sense.
I, yeah,
I get the sense the BBC are kind of putting pressure on him of, well, look, you can't just keep River. This is my theory. My theory is that maybe he was told that you got to kind of explain who River is sooner rather than later because the audience, they need answers, and maybe problem is I think that kind of caused them to rush an explanation into series 6 and reveal everything about it. Just meeting the Doctor out of time was plenty of story to work with. I agree, we didn't need all the extra baggage of being Amy's daughter. Yeah, indeed, I agree with that. I think.
So you think less is more than in this case, or?
Oh yeah. And I
Let's
think also
staying here. Yeah.
I think River would be just as interesting, maybe more so, if there was nothing to do with her. If Amy was not her daughter. Sorry. If Amy was not her mother, rather.
Oh yeah.
I think if you
When you
took
make
that
it more
element out,
complex.
yeah, I think if you took that element out, it wouldn't really make much difference. It was a revelation, but I don't think it was a necessary revelation. I don't think it was a necessary connection. I don't think they needed to be related at all. If really, I think, you know, but maybe Moffat
More
wanted to kind of.
than only a child of a TARDIS.
Well, yeah. See, yeah, I think that was kind of. See, I'm trying to think what was the point of that necessarily, and I think it was. I think it's the scene in Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, where River, the Doctor's about to sacrifice himself, and she punches him out. I think this was Moffat thinking he had to explain. Well, the only reason she could have been powerful enough to punch him out is she must have been a Time Lord as well. She must have had the biology and strength of a Time Lord in order to do that. And I think maybe he worked backwards from there. He had to explain that she is a Time Lord, but obviously they're all gone, and so he latched onto the first thing, which is, well, we've got Amy and Rory as a married couple in the TARDIS. The TARDIS travels through the vortex. Uh, you know, a child conceived in the TARDIS could maybe have Time Lord properties, and that's what he worked with. Because I think a lot of fans were theorizing she could be another Time Lord. She could be Romana. She could be this. Because who is she?
Yeah.
And I think that's so he kind of stuck up to the idea. Well, she's a Time Lord, but the Time Lords are all gone. I'm not going to do the whole thing of reveal that she's Romana or a past Time Lord or anything like that. So that's how he ended up just settling on the idea of, well, she's a kind of new Time Lord, and she's born to Amy and Rory.
Yeah, or she's the Rani who became good.
Yeah, they could have done that. No, they couldn't have done that. No, that would never make sense. Ronnie would never turn good.
No.
But she'd lose all her character.
So, are there many other comments in this chat?
I think we're up to date, really.
Yes, we are up to date. Yes. Up to date.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, next time we will do campaigns of the 12th Doctor. Then that will be Clara, Bill Potts, and Nardo.
Yeah.
But actually, Clara is also a companion of the 11th Doctor in the second half of the 7th series. After the Angel's Take Manhattan, you have actually, but the reason I do do the combination with the 12th Doctor is because the most of the time she traveled to the 12th Doctor. So, but we also discuss Clara Oswald with the 11th Doctor together with the 12th Doctor, and then Bill Potts and Nardo. So that's the plan. So actually, I watched last week. I watched the last episodes of Clara Oswald. So I have already done some homework.
Mhm.
Rewatched the last
Oh,
episodes. Rewatched the episodes of series 9, series 9,
series 9. Series 9,
series
that's right,
9.
yeah.
Last. So I did some homework. I rewatched it again. It's about the hybrid. It's actually I
Hmm.
saw some new things. I learned some new things about the whole hybrid concept. What we discuss that next time.
Okay, cool. All right.
So this that's very interesting to discuss that the
Hmm.
companions of the 12th Doctor also.
Indeed.
So I want to thank you, Sadako, and I want to thank everyone in chat. This is the area Queen Charlotte sit for
Oh,
your contribution.
oh, we got a question. We got a question from
Yeah.
Disaster Area. Are we going to cover
Oh.
Vaster and Jenny as well?
Uh.
Oh, they're not quite
Well.
companions, are they? They're recurring characters. Um,
Yeah. So
aren't
more
they?
associates. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, they're
good.
like
It's a
like
good
units.
comment. It's a good comment. Disaster area, but I did some research about that, and the most lists doesn't contain Vasta and Jenny. Are more associates. Like for example, there's another example I can give. Captain Jack is in some stories is he associate of the Doctor. In some stories he is a companion, more of a companion. So it's a little bit of yeah. Or how you see how you can what is the definition of companion associate more. But in the
Mhm.
most lists,
Yeah,
fan lists, you can not see Vastra and Jenny in the companions list. It's more associates.
yeah. Oh,
So
thank you, Charlotte.
good stream, you two. Thank you very much for your compliment. So no, that's actually my answer to this question of about Vastra and Jenny. There's
Yeah.
also some we did 10 Doctor live streams, and there are also some companions of the specials. But I was really, thinking about it. So I do these companions of the specials, but there's so little to talk about to do in long live stream. I think we can do that in another time, and in a shorter live stream another time. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to do these companions because they have a big role in the in the whole companion story of the Doctor.
Hmm. Yes.
Because he
Yeah.
because River Song and Amy and Rory are actually connected together, and he can may feel more live streams about these three. And also next time Clara is also a very interesting companion, because there are also some interesting facts about this companion Clara. Um, and then I
Indeed.
will do also in the live stream with Clara. I also do discuss Bill Potts and Nardo. Like this, but I think that's the plan. Uh,
Mhm.
do a separate stream at the end called companion or not. Oh, that's a very good some discussion about it, or hypothesis about what is companion and what is associate or not.
Indeed. Yeah.
um, because actually I was thinking about the whole thing about I call this live streams campaign of the first, campaign of the second. Actually, there are more companions. They've traveled with several other incarnations. Yeah, but he can also discuss about the fact that River Song is a companion of the first Doctor. But yeah, I have decided to do the more on-screen combination. So for example, I choose Clara in combination with 12 Doctor and not with the 11 Doctor, is because she traveled more on screen with the 12th Doctor. So yeah, it's a little bit of separate, but we'll discuss the whole context, by the way. So we will discuss Clara in context with this 11th Doctor with 12th Doctor, but I will comment in combination with the 12th Doctor next time. So that's the way we'll. That's actually the plan.
Cool.
Yeah, but because Jack Harkness, he can also say that Jack Harkness is a companion of 13th Doctor, but yeah, that's in one episode. Well, yeah, you must. Yeah, actually more. Mel Bush, for example, Mel Bush. We see Mel Bush traveling with the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, but we see her also in the last special with the 14th Doctor, David Tennant. So yeah, it become you must make some choices to actually. I thought about it. Maybe I had to do other names for this live stream, but yeah, I wanted to may associate with some incarnation of Doctor. So yeah, it's a little bit of a choice.
Yeah.
So that's explanation.
Well, she's more of an associate with the Doctor than a companion. In the giggle, she's more of an associate than a companion. So there's that.
Yeah. Yes, that's yeah. But
we
can do that
again
another time. We can do that another time, separate at the end, called campaigns or not. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, are there other comments in the chat, or then we can finish this live stream? No, I think not.
We're up to date, so I think we can.
We're up to date. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you very much again, Sadeko, and everyone in chat. Queen Charlotte, disaster area, shit, and everyone who listens to this live stream after this also. And again, I wish everyone a happy New Year. So, and I will see you all next time. And enjoy Doctor Who.
Everyone.
And have a good night, everyone. See you later, all. Or a good day, because in Australia it's a day, but yeah, okay, you know what I mean. Okay, bye. Doei.
It's night time here. Bye, everyone. Bye now.